I can't remember the details of what transpired and what was mentioned in the report. But there is something called the Central Empowered Committee, which has been nominated by the Supreme Court. So they file reports from time to time before the Supreme Court, before the green bench of the Supreme Court. And they had filed a report which was based on a survey conducted by the Forest Survey of India with regard to the Aravalli Hills. Generally, and specifically with regard to certain areas, those 138 or so hillocks that you were talking about. So, in that report, it was said that there is widespread devastation caused by mining, and it is impacting the environment in Delhi. And one of the more interesting things was that some 28 or 29 or something like that hillocks have completely disappeared from the face of the earth because of this illegal mining, which is shocking. And the state of Rajasthan filed a response to the report. They gave a sort of a status report to present their point of view, and they did not deny that these hillocks had disappeared, right? They also did not deny, if I remember correctly, that about 115 hectares of land was being mined in the Aravallis. So that's a huge slice of land. And because of the disappearance of the hillocks, which wasn't denied, we were quite surprised at this, and we felt, we remarked at that point of time that something like HANUMAN, going away with the hill, this is what was happening. I mean, how is it that these hills or these hillocks were just disappearing? So it was very disconcerting, and we asked the Chief Secretary to file an affidavit to ensure that illegal mining is stopped in that area. And I don't know whether the affidavit was eventually filed or not, but then a couple of months after this, I retired from the Supreme Court. As far as I am aware, the problem of the denudation of the Aravallis started sometime in the 1980s. Right? The idea was to make colonies, for residential purposes. That started sometime in the 1980s. Now, which means that it's been going on for the last 40 years, right? And there has been illegal construction, there has been denudation, hillocks have disappeared, illegal mining has been going on. I mean, all kinds of things are happening. So the question is that why is this happening? Okay, the Supreme Court can pass orders, the National Green Tribunal can pass orders, but unless there is a will to implement these orders and to ensure that the Aravallis are protected, this sort of an activity will go on. Now, the Supreme Court cannot go to the Aravallis and find out, oh, is something happening over there or not. They can only get reports from the CEC, for example, right? But the primary duty is of the government to ensure that there is no illegal mining that is going on. And if they don't do anything, the orders of the Supreme Court or the orders of the National Green Tribunal are bound to be flouted. We had a recent incident where somebody was, a senior police officer, was run over, by some of these persons indulging in illegal mining. So things like, life don't seem to matter, okay. So if they can run over a police officer, a senior police officer, they can flout orders of the court with impunity. So unless the government realizes, unless the executive realizes that what they are permitting is something which should not be permitted, we are going to face this kind of a problem. Now, the order that you are talking about in 2018, one of the things that the state of Rajasthan said was that we are getting royalty of 5,000 crores. All right, that's a lot of money, and it's good if they're getting that kind of royalty, but at what cost? Okay, that also has to be seen. The cost of that is that Delhi is going to suffer, and lakhs of people in Delhi are going to suffer because of desertification. All right, when the hills are knocked out, the wind may not blow, okay, and then you have problems of pollution. So there are a whole host of problems that will arise. Now that 5,000 crores that they get is apparently from legal mining. I'm assuming that. But how much are they losing because of illegal mining? Right? That nobody knows. Okay. So I think the whole thing has to be looked at, comprehensively. What is it that is going on? What is the benefit that is coming to the people of Rajasthan? What are the disadvantages being caused to other people in the vicinity, particularly in Delhi, and maybe in Rajasthan as well? Okay. So the whole thing has to be studied comprehensively, and then a decision has to be taken. Now you can have controlled mining. Okay, it's not that you say, all right, you do whatever you like. Okay, so these people will come and remove hillocks. Now that's not right. Okay, so controlled mining is possible, supervised mining is possible, and that is something which I think everybody should look into. Yeah, well, that is a decision I think which has to be taken after a great deal of thinking, right? I just can't say off the cuff what should be done. But there is this principle of sustainable development. You are right that materials are required for development and housing and so on and so forth. Yes, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that because you require materials for housing, therefore you go around, just denuding the Aravallis. Is that the intention? It can't be. Okay, and many of these people are, in a sense, unscrupulous. I remember an incident, it was brought to our notice, that in a particular area where, I'm not sure whether it was in the Aravallis, but in a particular area in Rajasthan, the mining activity was so rampant that there was a railway track, all right, and below the railway track, these people had, taken out the marble. Okay, so if a train was to go on that railway track, it would just, fall off the ground. Now, obviously, the railways didn't want that to happen, so they had to build a separate railway track. Now, this is the kind of activity that goes on.
Which area?
I don't remember which particular area, but I remember that this was one of the things that was brought to our notice. So now, can you say that it's okay? We can damage railway tracks. Why? Because we need whatever material there was, marble, if I remember correctly. We need marble for something or the other. But then, at what cost are you doing it? You are destroying a railway track. Is it worth it? So, these are issues which are present and which are live, and some thought has to be given to all this, otherwise we're just heading for trouble.